Thank you for coming. I'm attorney Gloria Allred. I represent Daniel Ramos. Today was the day that Kanye West was scheduled to either enter a plea in the LA County Superior Court, or if he did not enter a plea, a date would have been set for trial. He has entered a plea of no contest to one count of battery against Daniel Ramos. The count of attempted grand theft, for which he was also being prosecuted, was dismissed as part of the plea bargain. I represent the victim, Daniel Ramos, a professional videographer. We have also filed a civil lawsuit against Mr. West and are vigorously litigating that case, which we filed on August 21st, 2013, prior to the criminal case being filed. Our lawsuit alleges that on July 19th, 2013, Daniel was outside of the Tom Bradley Terminal International Arrivals at LA International Airport, LAX, on July 19th, 2013, with a number of other professional photographers. Daniel and the photographers were gathered on the sidewalk area in front of LAX to photograph celebrities who might emerge from the terminal. Mr. West exited the terminal and saw the gathered group of photographers. Daniel, who was standing about 10 feet away from Mr. West, called out to him and said, quote, "Kanye, can we talk to you, Kanye?" End quote. Daniel then said, quote, "What's going on? Why can't we talk to you? I mean, why?" End quote. Daniel asked Mr. West that question because 1 week earlier, on July 12, 2013, Mr. West had shouted at photographers, quote, "Don't talk to me. I don't want to hear paparazzi talk to me or anybody I know," end quote. After hearing Daniel ask on July 19th why Mr. West would not speak to him, Mr. West stopped walking, put his bag down at his car, and turned and spoke to Daniel. Then, without warning or provocation, Mr. West suddenly attacked Daniel, punching him and attempting to wrestle Daniel's camera from his hands. Daniel held onto his camera and fell down onto his knees on the paved sidewalk with enough force that he sustained injuries to his right hip. He was in great pain. He had to be transported in an ambulance to the emergency room. This incident also resulted in the filing of the present criminal case against Mr. West. Mr. Ramos is still suffering injuries inflicted on him by Mr. West. Mr. West entered his plea by signing a notarized plea. Because it was a misdemeanor, he was not legally required to be here today in court. Nevertheless, I felt that the LA City Attorney should have required him to show up in court as a condition of offering the plea, because Mr. West has appeared on television acting as though it is okay to attack someone who has not physically attacked him. Also, this is a clear-cut criminal case. Kanye West's attack on Daniel Ramos was captured on video, which has been broadcast on television and on the internet many times. It's clear from that video that Daniel Ramos was an innocent victim of Kanye West, and that Kanye West had no legal justification whatsoever for attacking Daniel Ramos. Also, there have been public reports that since the attack on Daniel Ramos, Kanye West has attacked another person. He was not prosecuted for that attack, and public reports indicate that the victim and Mr. West reached a civil settlement. In addition, West went on television and bragged that he was from Chicago. On October 8, 2013, Mr. West made it clear that he thinks he has the right to attack anyone that antagonizes him by asking him a question that he does not like. He thinks that paparazzi are fair game. In his televised appearance on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, he sent a message that anyone that crosses him is not safe, and that no one should forget that he is from Chicago. I said at the time that Mr. West's remarks were shameful and added further pain to the injuries that he inflicted on Daniel Ramos. Further, Kanye West has said that he brings, quote, "joy to the world," end quote. I said that he disgraced his profession and brought shame on his hometown of Chicago as being when he made reference to being from Chicago as some sort of threat. I also indicated that he would be held accountable for his actions against Mr. Ramos, both in the criminal justice system and the civil justice system. And today he was sentenced for his criminal act against Danny Ramos. The sentence was a no contest plea, which is tantamount to guilty in a criminal case but cannot be used against him in a civil case. He's placed on summary probation for 24 months. And he has to enroll within 30 days. He has to have 24 sessions of anger management. He must do 240 hours of community service. By the way, I just asked the city attorney to oppose any sealing of where he is doing the community service, because I think the public has a right to know. But it will not surprise me if the defense makes a motion to seal where he's doing community service. The city attorney made no commitment in that regard. Since it's the position of the city attorney in the court that he's being treated like anybody else, nobody else has it sealed as to the location of the community service. So hopefully the court will not seal it in this case either, although it will not surprise me if the defense will try to make a motion to seal it. He will have to be booked and released, and that will count as 1 day, but that's not actually jail time. However, the fact that he was booked will remain on his record. He also has to stay away from the victim, Daniel Ramos. Of course, the exception will be when we take his deposition, which we plan to do in the civil case. This matter is set for a restitution hearing and for progress on his anger management, which he's permitted to do, by the way, in private therapy. For July 17th, 2014 at 1:30 p.m. He's ordered to stay 100 yards away from Mr. Ramos. The court has indicated that this is a crime of violence that he's pled no contest to, and that if, as and when, Mr. West does not comply with all of the terms and conditions of probation, by the way, terms and conditions of probation always include obey all laws, that if he does not comply with all terms and conditions of probation, the court is, in the court's words, is not going to make, quote, special dispensation for celebrities, unquote. So there will be a progress report on the community service on September 17th at 8:30. And of course the count 2, which is the attempted grand theft of Mr. Ramos' camera, is dismissed. Danny and I believe that Kanye West should have been sent to jail. He's shown no remorse for attacking Mr. Ramos. In fact, he's bragged about it. I did speak with both the deputy city attorney and her supervisor in advance of today in reference to this matter, and Danny's feeling, and my feeling, that West should be required to show up in court today for his plea and sentence hearing, and that he should be required as a condition of accepting the plea to do some jail time, because Kanye West appears to treat his criminal act against Danny as a big joke. Unfortunately, they did not agree. Also in the past, West has not acknowledged that there are laws that govern his behavior and that he is not above the law. We are glad that Mr. West did enter a plea, but given all of the facts and circumstances, we do think that the sentence handed down today was not sufficient. We do plan to continue with our civil lawsuit to make sure that Mr. West is held accountable in that case. And I will say that I believe that Danny Ramos has been very brave throughout this case. He has been concerned not only about himself, but about other photographers and other members of the press who seek to cover celebrities as their First Amendment right, and to be able to do so without violence against them. As I've said many times, celebrities are not above the law, and they have no right to physically attack someone simply because they asked a question. Mr. Ramos was just doing his job and trying to make a living, and he was deserving of respect. And he should never have been the victim of violence. That's Kanye West. Mr. Ramos has given his statement.
should the restitution be?
Well, we haven't calculated that yet, but it's not going to include the pain and suffering, which, as the court indicated, restitution does not include. So we are continuing to aggressively
In the
pursue
civil
our lawsuit. And now that he's entered, I see no reason why he cannot give his deposition, since he can't claim Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination, since he can't be re-prosecuted.
Kanye has said that this is all a setup. That's how he's depicted it. What's your response to that?
You know, Kanye entered a plea of battery against Mr. Ramos today. So, his attorney indicated that he understood what he was pleading to. So it's time for him to stop making excuses, stop trying to blame anyone else other than himself. He's got to take responsibility. And I can assure you that I take it very seriously, even if Mr. West is not. And his deposition is not going to be fun and games for him.
There was discussion about whether Mr. Ramos would continue to cover Mr. West, and if you could address that.
He's not interested. Yeah, Mr. That was in reference to the stay-away order. Mr. Ramos has indicated that he really is not interested in covering Mr. West. He really doesn't want to be anywhere near him or around him. So he will not be. It won't be an issue with him anywhere near Mr. West. Of course, he has a right to be in the same room when Mr. West's deposition is taken. But other than that, as in terms of his obligation as a Gloria Allred, he's not interested in covering.
Where are you able to say that the injuries that he sustained specifically?
Well, he has had a number of injuries that we're not going to, rather not tell them, but they've been serious, and he's still treating and still on medication as a result of it. So,
Is he not working right now as a paparazzi because of the injuries?
he's not working right now because of his injuries.
Gloria, it looks like celebrity involvement.
Well, the argument of the city attorney's office is that he's being treated the same as anyone else. And that this is essentially more severe for him than if he had to spend some time in jail. I respectfully differ from that. I know that sometimes they don't serve all of the time that they were sentenced to, but I do think he needed that kind of education. And I think that would have been very beneficial to him to get that education. Years ago, I also represented the victim of Tommy Lee. And he was also a member of the press who was attacked. Tommy Lee was coming out of a nightclub. Right? At the sentencing, I also said he needs to go to jail. The court also did, not this court, but another court, Beverly Hills, did not send him to jail. Later, he attacked his wife, Pamela Lee, who's holding her baby. At that point, it was a violation of his probation. The probation he was on for having attacked my client, and so that's why he was sent to jail. I felt then, I still feel now, that had he been sent to jail in the first place, perhaps he would have learned a lesson. Perhaps Pamela Lee Anderson would have been spared. We'll never know. I hope that Mr. West does not repeat this act of violence. If he does, then, and especially if he does, during the term of this 24-month probation, the court has indicated clearly today that he's going to strictly enforce this term and condition of probation. He didn't say, but I think one could read from that, that means that would, if it's a proven violation of probation, that he could be then sent to jail since jail was suspended. And probation is a privilege. It's not a right. So we'll see. He said, I'll strictly enforce it. I hope that no other person has to suffer what Daniel had to suffer. But I, for one, will be watching Mr. West.